Let me explain. So many things have been building up over the last few months as far as crypto regulation goes, as far as getting some sort of idea what we can do, what we can't do. We have the Genius Act that's most likely going to go through. If you watched the video yesterday, you guys know I'm not a big fan of the Genius Act because it definitely leaves retail out. But at the same time, we are starting to move forward and starting to progress, especially in the United States of America. And the race is essentially on, primarily because we have other countries that are very much more interested in creating Bitcoin strategic reserves. We have states that want to create Bitcoin strategic reserves, financial institutions on a global scale. And what they're doing is they want to acquire this Bitcoin. They want to follow the Michael Saylor strategy, take debt out against that Bitcoin, and then continue to buy more and more and more and more and more. And as Bitcoin's popularity increases and crypto's popularity increases, we're going to see a lot more of this happen. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're seeing, what is going to happen in June, because it looks like there is a public servant who wants to start pushing regulation. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the ETFs and inflows and what that means, because I know Bitcoin is not, I know that last week we broke all-time high, not once, but twice. And now we're kind of chilling. The market's cooling off essentially. So let's go ahead and get into it. It was posted, I believe, 2 days ago from Miss Ellie. And French Hill sets market date for the House's crypto market structure bill. And that's going to be on June 10th. So we actually have a date. So the House is going to review the bill regarding crypto regulation on June 10th in a markup session. And it's basically just a crypto market structure bill. It's going to be led by French Hill, who is the chair of Digital Assets Subcommittee. And the bill aims to define which assets are securities or commodities, or both, or I don't know. We don't know because it's crypto. It is a brand new industry. The bill also clarifies the roles of the SEC and the CFTC in regulation and gives a legal framework for exchanges, token issuers, and custodians, and basically wants to seek to protect consumers while encouraging innovation. Okay, anytime somebody's like, I want to protect consumers, it's generally a bunch of BS, okay? Always a bunch of BS. As always, make sure to like this video, subscribe, set alerts, and drop me a comment. I go through all the comments and I read them. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. So let's go ahead and talk about what's happening and why this is important. So we really don't have any crypto regulation in the United States of America. We know that fraud is illegal. Fraud is illegal. You got to pay your crypto taxes. And as far as registering as a crypto company, where do you register? Who do you register with? Because again, big companies like, shout out to John, big companies like Ripple and Coinbase and Kraken and all these other companies, they were told, they weren't really given any guidance as to what they're supposed to do. And the previous administration just went to go sue them. So now we're starting to establish guidelines as to who's in charge of what, because sometimes the CFTC is in charge of things. Sometimes it's the SEC, who knows? So this bill is basically going to force public servants, Congress, the Senate, everybody to kind of give guidelines as to what needs to be done. Good morning to I Play the Meta. And the reason why this is important is because we have this solid foundation, or we're building this solid foundation. We're going to continue to build on top of it. So basically, it's going to allow more and more people, hopefully, enter into the crypto space to build or to work for companies, really just to expand and come up and create ideas. So we have crypto and we have AI, and all of this is essentially going to come together. Good morning, Mr. Neil. Good morning. So this is good. This is positive. However, the thing that I do get concerned about is retail's getting left out. When we do talk about the Genius Act, it completely leaves retail out. This is for stable coins. It is for stable coin issuers. This is for the big boys. This is for companies that want to create their own stable coins. If you're a small business and let's say, for example, you want to create a stable coin within your business instead of issuing gift cards, that would be cool. I think that's a value use case, but they're very particular on who's going to be able to launch these and who's not going to be able to. And again, retail's not going to have a seat at the table. And again, one of the reasons why traditional finance loves stablecoins and wants that, number one, they want to get rid of the US dollar and make everything digital. They want to be able to track every single move that you make. Essentially, that's what it is. But more importantly is they want to, make everything digital. They want to make everything digital. And yesterday we had, on the second media piece I dropped for you, we had talked about, I believe it's Bank of America, Citi, and Wells Fargo that essentially want to launch a joint stablecoin. And shout out to Neil. I think they are going to launch a joint stablecoin, but when you hear a joint stablecoin, that's literally CBDC. So this bill, I think, hopefully, it's not going to have retail. It's not going to give retail a seat at the table. Like, unless the accredited investor law is completely reworked to where you have to have a basic understanding of the risks of investing. Crypto is essentially like, it's good for the longevity of crypto, but it's not good for retail. And I know I'm being a little bit of a negative Nancy and people get mad at me for that, but I think that that's the reality. And I always want to keep it real with you guys. So I do think it's important because it will cause the markets to eventually go, to go upward. The stable coin, the Genius Act, once that gets approved, it's going to put liquidity in the market. And that's why I tell you, I truly believe this is the last cycle. And this is probably your last chance as retail to continue to thrive in the entire industry. That's just my personal opinion. So pay attention to what's happening, but June is going to be massive for crypto, in my personal opinion, especially with this bill. And again, I think January, February, March, April, May, June, end of June, starting July, that's when we're going to start to get some more information about these crypto spot ETFs. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the market. So even though I'm kind of like on the fence about like all this crypto regulation, at the end of the day, it's good because it's setting a foundation, but retail doesn't have enough representation. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this post from Cointelegraph and the ETF flows. Around 1,900 Bitcoin and 22,000 ETH were bought on May 23rd. Bitcoin ETF saw 200 million in net inflows, and Ethereum ETFs saw 58 in net inflows. So inflows mean money is coming into the market. So that's good. To me, that's a pretty good sign. Selling has kind of stopped for a little bit. Now, Bitcoin broke all-time high. Now we're trading at like $109,000. We could have a drop. Very, very, very much could. I do know some people that are calling for like $80,000, $90,000, etc. I mean, there is a gap on the CME chart, and we could have a drop down to $90,000 before we take off again. But I'm very, very, very much confident that we are in kind of this super cycle, and that number will continue to go up, but there will be volatility. I think, and again, I really think that once we get the crypto spot ETFs approved, that's really going to kind of change the game in the industry. Good morning, Sparkwater. So that's really all I got for you guys, is that in June, we are going to start hearing more about crypto regulation, legislation, and they're going to start pushing all of this through. What can you do? You can go ahead and write to your local public servants, write to your congressman, write to everybody, and let them know we want the same privileges that accredited investors have. I think that's probably the most important thing to do. And of course, you can go ahead and leave comments, concerns, and whatnot on that stuff. But as always, I highly recommend you guys pay attention to made in the USA coins, stuff that will be getting the crypto spot ETFs. That's just my personal opinion. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. It's going to be sunny here in LA, so I'm going to go out and sit by the pool, maybe go run some errands, eat some pancakes. I don't know. But I'm wishing you guys love and light. I'm going to be dropping some content pieces throughout the weekend for you. I'll go live again tomorrow around 10 a.m. I'll be at Bitcoin 2025 next week, so if you want to go, the code is WindyO, 10% off. Yeah, the M2, the money supply, yeah, they are printing more money. They're definitely printing more of that money over there, and it's a hot mess. But we should hear some sort of, hopefully, fingers crossed, announcement from JD Vance. Fingers crossed, he'll be speaking on the 28th, so mark your calendars for that. But other than that, that's kind of the news. Nothing too much going on over there. Hey, you guys have a wonderful day. Sending y'all love and light, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bye-bye. Well, maybe 11. We'll see. I'll sleep in.